You've got the abilities and the talents set, and now you've optimized your gear, but how do you get the most out of this beefy shield that you are now carrying? In part 4 of my 4-part PvE tanking series, I'll be covering tactics, tips, and tricks to help you quickly get to grips with this complex and fun playstyle. Stick around. Guys, welcome back. It's Skill Up here with the final episode of my 4-part PvE tanking series. You'll find links to the other videos in the description below, so be sure to check those out if you are interested. As I mentioned before, this series is the most comprehensive set of videos I've put together to date, so if you like what you see and you find it useful, then don't forget to like and subscribe. So, in this video, we're going to be covering tactics, tips, and tricks for tanking because it definitely does not come naturally to you. It's very finicky and often a very fragile spec with very little margin for error. So while learning how to play it properly, I spent a lot of time just staring at my dead corpse while waiting for the DPS to polish off groups of mobs, feeling just about as useful as an LMG in the Dark Zone. Oh, those LMG burns. Seriously though, PvE tanking isn't easy, so hopefully this guide will help you out in some way, and if it does, then please drop a like and subscribe, and with that, we will get on with it. So, the first thing to understand is how aggro and threat works in this game, and to know that threat is largely a function of proximity and line of sight. So let's talk about proximity first. Basically, if you get up in the face of an enemy, there's a very good chance that this enemy will target you. If you have a marksman at range that has already hit the target 7 or 8 times, that enemy will still switch to you if you move into melee range, and it will continue to ignore your marksman even if the marksman continues to fire, so long as you stay in or near melee range. Now, this isn't 100% reliable, and this is sort of the part that makes tanking so tricky. You can absolutely be right on top of a shotgunner and they still may just choose to completely ignore you and rush your backline, so you do need to be ready for that. The other determinant in all of this is line of sight. Now, with the example above, the enemy target trained on your marksman will immediately switch to you if you break the enemy's line of sight on your marksman. Essentially, if the enemy can only see you, then they will target you rather than trying to reposition to get to your marksman. And this is a very key difference in tanking and aggro mechanics versus games, say, World of Warcraft, where targets will go to great lengths to stay on a DPS that's aggroed them unless the tank is able to taunt it off. It's definitely going to take you some practice to fully grapple with the threat mechanics in this game, and the random way that some enemies will choose to run off will also keep you on your toes. So good luck with that one and have fun. So now that you understand sort of how threat works, it's probably good to give you a breakdown of how your average PvE encounter will go, and then talk about what sort of interventions you'll need to be making at various points as a tank. So let's take your average wave of enemies on a challenge mode. So first up, your first and most important task is to tank shotgunners. You are the shield against which the shotgunners break. With the gearing tips I provided you, you should be able to tank 2 to 3 shotgunners in challenge mode pretty comfortably in the time that it takes your team to get them down. In order to gain aggro, I'd recommend throwing a grenade towards them to get a bit of damage on them, and then moving into melee range or line of sight to aggro them. While this is occurring, they will be shredding your shield, so be sure to position yourself near some cover for, if and when your shield happens to crumble. With shotgunners down and your shield low, take cover for a bit and focus on suppressing ranged enemies while you wait for your shield to recharge. I've spoken in the previous episode about how useful LMG suppression can be, so go back and check that one out if you haven't already. With your shield now recharged to a decent level, let's say 50%, it's time to push up and take out the enemy back line. Your main focus here is to go for the closest target to you and your group, and never the sniper at the back. You are extremely susceptible to flanking as a tank, as you have zero protection on your back and sides. So if you rush up to take down that sniper at the back and ignore the medic that's on your side, that medic will absolutely melt you pretty quick smart. Continue to clear targets one by one until you eventually reach the back line. Snipers are especially harmless when you are up close in melee range, so simply move in to melee them while your team members bring them down. And that's really the flow of most engagements. There are some nice variations on these patterns of play that I would point out, however. Firstly, learn good, strong choke points and aim to hold enemies there. Things like doorways are great because they force your enemies through a single point, so rather than rushing to meet them, just wait patiently for them to come to you. You can also cause a fair amount of disarray in fortified enemy positions. The fish tank room in the Russian consulate is a really good example of a room that is notoriously difficult to crack, but you can very easily push through to the middle area, creating huge opportunities for your team to do some real DPS. Look for these sort of opportunities whenever you get the chance. Beyond that, there are a few important considerations that I'd really encourage you to keep in mind while tanking that will definitely increase both your utility and your survivability. Firstly, do not put yourself in a position where you are tanking both short range and long range enemies at once. If you have 3 shotgunners on you, that's fine, but if you have 2 snipers on you at the same time, as those 3 shotgunners, you are almost certainly dead. Aim to pull the closer range mobs towards you with grenades before pushing out towards snipers, etc. You cannot tank everything at once, so don't try. You are great at rezzing people, since your shield will block damage while you do this, so take advantage of this as much as you can. When using your pistol, aim for crit spots like grenade packs or gas tanks as much as you can. You won't be doing much damage in general, but these crit spots will wreck your enemies, and you can actually destroy those with enough effort, so do prioritize those. Advance on your enemies to keep them out of cover. The AI will generally leave cover when you get close enough and will typically just stand up and start shooting at you, providing you and your team an excellent opportunity to bring the target down. And finally, try to melee stun lock your enemies. Now, I can't stress this enough. If you have your heal up, get into melee range and shield bash your enemies as much as you can. You can actually do this successively to often stun lock them, which renders the enemy pretty much harmless and also allows your shield to regen health, since your shield isn't actually taking damage at that point. You can continuously move in and out of their melee range to trigger their melee animation without taking any damage from it as well, which can be a really efficient way to CC enemies. Now, there's a ton of other tips that I could provide, but these are really the main ones. Follow this advice and you'll very quickly come to grips with what it means to properly tank, and you'll find yourself as useful and as capable as the current state of PvE tanking will allow you to be. And that's it, guys. Some 4 episodes down and we're finally here. As I've said, I definitely plan to do more tanking videos as the community continues to learn how to get the most out of this playstyle, but also as I'm sure Massive continue to buff and refine this spec, because as I've mentioned, it's very undercooked right now. It's got a lot of potential, but it's not particularly usable. And I think the fact that they didn't, for instance, introduce a tanking set for incursions, there's no tanking focused set at the moment, is I think indicative of the fact that Massive recognize this gap and they recognize there's some ways to go. So as they continue to refine things, I'll certainly be making videos on that. So be sure to like and subscribe if you're keen for that sort of content. And if you like this video, then please do drop a like as well. As you can probably tell that I put a lot of work into this series, and a like and a subscribe definitely helps me out in a very big way. So for now, guys, this is Skill Up signing off. Take good care and see you in the Dark Zone. Bye-bye.